I've never read anything in my life quite like this. And that's saying a lot, considering if you've been on this channel, then you know I read a lot of books on this channel, and I review a lot of books specifically in the subgenre of self-help and business in that crossover. That is the type of book I read the most. And yet, I have never read anything quite like Effing Simple Leadership, How to Take Back Control and Make an Impact on Every Part of Your Life. I don't even know what to call this book as a joke, because after reading it, I'm just so incredibly confused. But you know what? I think it just clicked for me. It makes perfect sense now. So if you don't know this, guys, there's an MLM company out there called MONAT. It's a company that sells shampoo that you're supposed to put on your head and wash your hair with. MONAT has faced many class action lawsuits for having people's hair fall out, allegedly. This shampoo is known to do awful things to your scalp and cause people hair loss. In addition to that, it is a multi-level marketing company that's known for causing tons of people to lose tons of money. But I think maybe there's something else going on in MONAT. Maybe in addition to making your hair fall out, this shampoo kind of like seeps through your skull and penetrates your brain and programs you to start writing shit like this. Maybe it controls you like you're some kind of mech. Like, imagine this is Rugrats in Paris. Remember Rugrats in Paris? Remember when they controlled the giant Reptar mech to fight that snail? Imagine that's what the MONAT shampoo is doing. It's sinking itself into your hair, taking the driver's seat in your brain, and causing you to type out whatever the fuck this is. That is the only way I can begin to make sense of what I've just read. Today, guys, we are reviewing Effing Simple Leadership, a book written by a leader in the MONAT MLM company named Tony Vanchuk. I'm not quite sure how to say her name, but she is a leader in the MONAT company. This is her book full of other MONAT reps teaching you how to be a better leader and boss babe. We're gonna have a fun time today.
Hit you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should pick up lesbianism.
Chicago. You guys asked for it.
What's up, my fellow small business supporters? I'm Savvy. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome for the first time. This is Savvy Writes Books, the channel where we talk about books and business, and this week we have been on a roll with the anti-multi-level marketing book review crossovers, where we've been reviewing tons of training materials from MLM companies and talking about the crossovers. This is a book that someone sent me in the mail months ago, and I've been meaning to review, and I'm so happy that I finally got to this, because there's going to be some real winners in terms of quotes from this book. We're just going to go through it page by page. That's going to be exciting. But Savvy, you might be saying, I heard that an MLM company is a great way to make money from home. Well, someone lied to you. MLM companies are actually a terrible way to make money from home, and I have an entire anti-MLM playlist that breaks down all the reasons why. I'd recommend starting with the Ponzinomics review, because that kind of breaks down the math. But I would like to be a living example of a way you can make money from home without an MLM. You know why? Because I'm currently sitting in my home, and I'm currently making money on this video, because this video has a sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Magic Spoon, a high-protein, low-carb breakfast cereal that comes in a variety of awesome flavors. Do you guys remember in the beginning of 2021 when I tried to host live streams while I was cooking? And do you remember how in one of them I had to end the stream early because I almost set an oven mitt on fire? Oh my god, am I setting the pot holder on fire? Yeah, I set the pot holder on fire. Yeah, in case you guys haven't noticed, cooking really isn't my strong suit. Combine that with the fact that I'm constantly working on this channel, on my company Forever Home Friends, and on my novels. Well, as you guys can guess, I don't really have a ton of time to think about cooking and meal prep and all of that. So that's why I'm really grateful that one of my meals each day is already taken care of. I know I can plan to have a bowl of tasty cereal every day, which will provide me with the protein I need while I'm working on weightlifting, and it won't cause me to set anything on fire. Magic Spoon cereals have 13 to 14 grams of protein and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. They all have 0 grams of sugar with the exception of the new honey nut flavor, which has 1 gram of sugar per serving because of the real honey they use to make it. Magic Spoon cereals also have only 140 calories per serving and are keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. You can build your very own variety box and choose from the best-selling cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, cookies and cream, maple waffle, blueberry, and cinnamon, plus the new reformulated honey nut flavor that will now be added to the permanent collection. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product that it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee, so if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund you your money, no questions asked. And also, for my Canadian and British viewers, Magic Spoon is now shipping to Canada and to the UK as well. So guys, if this cereal sounds good to you, go ahead and click the link in my description below and use the code SAVVY to get $5 off, or go to magicspoon.com/savvy to save $5 on your order today. So thank you to Magic Spoon for that. In addition, thank you to all my Patreon supporters for helping keep this channel amazing. I love you guys. Patreon supporters who give $5 a month and up are linked in the description below, where you can check out any of their own small businesses or channels or whatever they'd like to promote. Now, let's talk about effing simple leadership. Let's just open this book up. Let's just crack it open and give it a start. So this book starts with an introduction where Tony, who is, again, near the top of the MONAT pyramid and runs this company called Effing Simple, which is where she sells her training materials for how to get better and grow in network marketing and get better at MONAT. She's kind of got Eric Worre vibes, honestly. So let's start with the The world is a crowded place. With billions of lives waking up every single day, it is fascinating to realize how each of these lives shares some common goals despite all the differences that may exist. I bet you guys went into this video wanting English teacher savvy, but if we go through every single grammatical mistake and typo in this book, this video is going to be 12 hours long, you guys. First of all, with billions of lives waking up every single day, is your life waking up or are you waking up? Is your body waking up or is your life waking up? Were you dead? Are you a zombie? Are you a little boss babe zombie walking around? What is going on? And then, of course, we've got the little it cleft independent clause coming right after the modifier, bad sentence structure. But regardless, let's just move on because, again, we're going to be here all day. Underneath the skin, we are all the same. We all have wants, needs, and desires. We all breathe the same air and eat the same food, and we even might dream the same dreams. If that is the case, why is it that only a handful of these billions go on and lead happier, successful, joyous lives while the others continue to find themselves in a vicious cycle of work, eat, sleep, and repeat? The implication that she's trying to make here is that those who achieved a life of greatness instead of going through the mundane life were the ones who joined MONAT and moved up the ranks and used examples of her leadership training. Except there are a lot of flaws in this sentence. First of all, underneath the skin, we are all the same. First of all, that is not true. Different people are born with different conditions. Different people are born with different health statuses. Different people are born, like, literally inside your body is not all the same. Different people have different things that, like, somebody who's born with a severe health condition is going to be at a disadvantage compared to somebody who isn't. So underneath the skin, no, we're not literally all the same. And then we all breathe the same air and eat the same food. I mean, I'd love for you to tell that to somebody who's living in a city with a clean water crisis right now. Girl, no, we don't all breathe the same air and eat the same food. There are people who live in places where the air isn't safe to breathe. There are people who live in places where the water isn't safe to drink. There are people who live in food deserts. Even within many cities in the US, there are food deserts where you can't find a healthy grocery store. My point is, no, we are not all breathing the same air and eating the same food. So why some people go on to have great lives of success? I mean, in a lot of cases, there's a lot of class privilege involved in that it puts them at an advantage. Tony, do I need to explain to you why life is harder for poor people? I had to explain this to Jen Sincero too. Do boss babes come into this world not knowing that life is harder for poor people? I'm very confused. I thought everyone knew that. She then says, while most of us continue to dream big but say no when the opportunity is presented, only a select few step forward, step up, and choose to lead the way. So again, it's a little subtle, like, only a few of you guys will be, like, smart enough to take this opportunity. Manipulative. And then she leads into it. This is the introduction. She leads into what this book is about. Many of the contributors in this book will highlight how they had a completely different life back then. Again, back when. And how each of them were on a divine path of leadership. Their stories are inspiring, and even that is an understatement. They've managed to change their lives, everything about them and their surroundings to fall in line with their vision and goals. What kind of writing is that? Also, divine path, really, Tony, we're bringing God into this? You think that God bestowed MONAT upon you? I don't know. I don't think that Jesus would like that. So then the book goes into introducing each of the contributors and talking about who those people are. So let's start off with our first contributor to this book, Jessica. Jessica has a quote that says, "Success isn't how much money one makes or how significant of a business they end up creating, but it is the freedom to live and lead in life that truly defines success." What does that mean, Jessica? That was fucking word salad. Jessica is a wife and mom to 4 kids. She was a salon owner and hairstylist 16 years. Did we forget a preposition there, Tony? MONAT has allowed her to now work her business full-time from home while raising her kids and making an impact locally and globally through gratitude. What does MONAT have to do with gratitude? You're saying you're grateful someone roped you into a borderline pyramid scheme? And also, I feel bad that, like, she had a legitimate business. She was owning a salon. Actually, that's a common theme in this. A lot of people who are MONAT reps in this book used to own a hair salon. And part of me is wondering, like, I don't know these people's personal lives. I'm not going to give away personal information about them, only what's in this book, and I'm not going to say their last names or anything like that, because I don't want anyone to send hate to anyone. When I had some of my, like, small business virtual events in 2020, COVID was shutting everything down at the time. A lot of people were looking for online ways to sell things. And one of the participants in one of my small business craft and vendor fairs that I hosted on a live stream back in November 2020 was a salon owner, or she was like a spa owner. She owned a spa. And she did skincare and things like that. And she had to close down her spa and switch to selling her products. She didn't sell MLM products. She was anti-MLM, but she sold her own products online. COVID restrictions required that the salon be shut down. That makes sense for physical safety purposes, but it's also very difficult on someone who that was their livelihood. So I'm partially wondering, like, when was this book published? 2021. Well, I guess, how long has she been working at MONAT for? I guess it doesn't say. But part of me is wondering if a lot of salon owners who weren't able to work in a face-to-face environment during, like, the height of the first wave of COVID and the extreme lockdowns at the beginning, I'm wondering if they got roped into MONAT. I wonder, what are you guys' thoughts on that? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious. So this is where the writing gets really confusing, because chapter 1 says that Jessica wrote it. It says that it's by Jessica. So I assumed that Tony, wrote the introduction, and there's also a section at the end that says it's by Tony. So I assumed Tony kind of organized the book, wrote the introduction, wrote a section at the end, and then each of the chapters it says that they're by that person. So I assumed Jessica wrote this. So I'm reading this and thinking Jessica sounds very full of herself, because it's talking about leadership as a choice. Jessica is the embodiment of that. She has gone to teach many students what it takes to be a leader and how leadership is as simple as choice. So it's talking all about Jessica, and then Jessica quotes Luke 16:10 from the Bible. What that has to do with leadership or MONAT, I have no idea. And then later it's like, Jessica isn't a superhuman being either. She too went through the same trials in life that most of us are busy complaining about every single day. The difference, however, is simple. She chose not to let her hardships control her life. And then gives 0 examples of any of the hardships she went through. So I'm like, maybe your hardships were just easier, or maybe they weren't. I don't know. You didn't give me any examples to go off of. Okay, so Jessica wrote this because it says it's by Jessica. And then Jessica's talking about what a great leader Jessica is. She's choosing to write about herself in the third person and talk about how great she is. Like, this is a little weird. Then it goes into this, right? It's talking about how Jessica wanted to seize opportunities for herself. So she said she had already taken the first step by preparing herself to make changes. I assure you, making life changes is one of the hardest challenges you can face. And I was like, wait, I'm sorry, you said she, and then you said I. Who is I here? Because you said this was written by Jessica, and the whole time you're talking about Jessica in third person. Did you just switch to third person? So I figured maybe that's just a typo, which this book has plenty of. So I was like, okay, we'll move along. And we'll come back to that in a minute, because it gets resolved later on, so don't worry. But then Jessica's going on it till you make it. MLMs are always telling you to fake it till you make it, because you got to pretend that you're living this life of abundance and that your business is super successful, because otherwise, how are you going to recruit anyone, right? She goes on to talk about how important it is to think and act like you have made it to the top, as opposed to hoping that you will one day make it. The ideology is simple. Action equals results. Hoping simply doesn't cut it. When you start working your business like a leader who is successful and at the top of the game, you will automatically start gaining the trust of those around you. So basically, Jessica's like, fake it till you make it, bitch. Then Jessica basically cures everyone's depression. She does a little thanks I'm cured, where she says, if you truly wish to be a leader, the first rule is to stop being miserable and start actively being grateful for everything you have right now in this very moment. Thanks, I'm cured, Jessica. This was when I was still at the beginning of the book. This was so cute. Little naive Savvy who thought I could point out all the misplaced modifiers. But as a business owner, the first rule is to commit to leadership. I'm sorry. The first rule is the business owner. The rules are owning your business. I don't know about that, Jessica. Anyway, I had to stop doing this after a while, because this book, nobody edited this book. Oh, and then I actually had a good example of why misplaced modifiers matter, because when I've pointed them out in some books before, some people would be like, well, Savvy, yeah, it's technically incorrect, but like, I still know what the sentence means. So like, if I say, as a business owner, the first rule is to commit to leadership, most people would be like, yeah, there's a misplaced modifier, but does it really matter, because the sentence still makes sense? Here's an example of why it does matter. So she has the sentence right here that says, as leaders, people will come to you for solutions, and you must lead them to a solution. So as leaders, people will come to you for solutions. That was confusing to me, genuinely. I was like, okay, as leaders, people will come. I was like, were you saying that people who are also leaders are going to come to you as leaders because they're leaders? As leaders, they will come. as leaders is modifying people. So the people who come to you are leaders, or are you saying that leaders in general will have other people come to them? This sentence is an example of why it matters, because this was worded in a very confusing way, in my personal opinion. I have a note here that just says, WTF is this sentence? This sentence, okay, so the lead into the sentence says, a leader always knows what needs to be done and is not afraid to take the necessary action, and 90% of the time you know the answer, follow your intuition, it is there for a reason. Let the overthink and perfection go and just take that step forward, it is that effing simple. I'm sorry, what? Let the overthink and perfection go and just take that step forward, it is that effing simple. So first of all, it's a run-on sentence, as I think you guys know. We've talked about run-on sentences on this channel before. A lot of people think that a run-on sentence is just a sentence that's long. That is a common misunderstanding. A run-on sentence is when you have two independent clauses that aren't conjoined by a coordinating conjunction or proper punctuation. So a run-on sentence would be exactly this, right? Because she's got an independent clause. It is that effing simple. Okay, so this is... Well, I was like, I'm not going to be English teacher savvy. Just kidding. We're talking about verb moods. Verbs in English tend to have three moods: indicative, imperative, and subjunctive. The majority of the time we speak, we're speaking in the indicative mood. So if I say, I'm talking to you, that's an indicative verb because it's a sentence that I'm telling you something that indicates something. That's the majority of communication we do. Imperative mood is what we also call commands, right? It's when you request something of someone or tell someone to do something. So for example, where she says, just take that step forward. Just take that step forward. Take it's a verb that you are the implied receiver of that verb that you're going to do, even though it's not stated directly in the sentence, because the mood is imperative and you know that you're receiving instructions. That's implied within the communication, right? So that would be a verb in the imperative mood. The subjunctive mood isn't used here, but I just figured I'd tell you guys about verb moods because when I'm a sassy bitch about books, I figured you guys also wanted some grammar lessons. The subjunctive mood is for hypotheticals. We do have a subjunctive mood in English, and it's technically proper to use it, but not everyone uses it all the time. In other languages, like I know in Spanish, they have like there's like a whole separate conjugations for subjunctive verb moods that they use. So the subjunctive mood is for a hypothetical situation that you are not confident that is definitely going to happen. So like if you know for sure something is going to happen, you would probably say it in the indicative mood, but if you don't know for sure it's going to happen, you'd probably say it in the subjunctive mood. Like, okay, let me give an example. I wrote this great paper about it in grad school with the book The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion, but then I like got rid of that book because it gave me too many existential panic attacks because of all the death in it. Hold on, let me pull up the essay because I think I have a good explanation of this here. One second. Okay, so here's an example, right? In the book, The Year of Magical Thinking by Joan Didion, she's recounting the fact that her husband had died suddenly, and she's taking us through like this stream of consciousness, going through her disorganized thoughts and all the notes that she wrote down across, where her brain went as she's working on mourning this, as at the same time her daughter started going through some serious health problems. It's a really sad book. She's taking us through that like mental state where she's going from like denial. There's this part where right after her husband dies, she has trouble getting rid of his shoes. She keeps his shoes right where they were. But I pointed out in my paper, I'll just read this out loud, is, while she's preparing to get rid of John's clothing, she finds herself incapable of disposing of his shoes. In her mind, getting rid of his shoes would be a final acceptance that he is really gone forever. She explains her thinking with the sentence, he would need shoes if he was to return. So the phrase he would need shoes if he was to return is in the indicative verb mood. So I say that here. This sentence includes an interesting stylistic choice. Didion uses the indicative mood of the verb to be instead of the subjunctive, which normally follows words like if or phrases like I wish that. So normally if you were to say something like if this or I wish that this, you would then follow with the subjunctive verb mood, which often takes on the plural past tense form. So for example, Joan Didion had said this in the subjunctive mood. She would have said, John would need shoes if he were to return. If you say he'll need these shoes if he was to return, that is the indicative mood, right? So I say the subjunctive mood, which is often used in languages like Spanish to express hypothetical situations, in English indicates that the speaker is hoping for something that is unlikely to happen or is wishing for a situation different from reality. The indicative verb mood, which most English speakers always use by default, is used to describe how things are. When Didion says if he was to return instead of the subjunctive if he were to return, she is using a stylistic choice to imply that in that mindset she still does believe that John will return. The situation is not hypothetical, unlikely, or impossible like the subjunctive would imply. If she'd said if he were to return, that would be the subjunctive mood, which would show that she had doubt that he would return, that she doesn't think he's actually going to return because she's accepted the fact that he's dead. But because she says if he was to return, That's in the indicative mood, which means she still has denial over it. I hope that makes sense. I went off on a tangent. The subjunctive wasn't even used here. I just wanted to properly indicate all the verb moods because this sentence mashed two different verb moods together, where she says, let the overthink and perfection go and just take that step forward. It is that effing simple. So we already have a run-on sentence here with two independent clauses that are not properly conjoined. So if she says, like, let the perfection go, just take that step forward, those are both in the imperative mood because they are commands to you as the reader. And then it is that effing simple is in the indicative mood because she is describing something, she is indicating something. Not only is this sentence a run-on sentence with two independent clauses mashed together without any type of conjunction, it is also two different verb moods mixed together within the same sentence. My point is this is one of the worst sentences I've ever read in my life. It doesn't make any sense at all. It is wrong every single way you look at it. But I hope you guys learned something about verb moods today. Let me know if you have questions in the comments below. Dude, I once got in a fight with this girl in copy editing class because she didn't believe that English had a subjunctive mood. And I was like, girl, English has a subjunctive mood. And she was like, no, it doesn't, because we were arguing over which way to edit a sentence. And I was like, depends if there's doubt about the situation, because if you edit it this way, it's in the subjunctive mood. And she's like, English doesn't have a subjunctive mood, only Spanish has a subjunctive mood. Dude. Then on the next page, Jessica's like, through your confidence, you reassure your loved ones, customers, and clients that you know what you're doing. This is exactly the reason why you often see Elon Musk talking about his visions and goals, followed by investors from all around the world pouring in for him. It is his confidence talking because everyone knows he knows what he is talking about. So she's implying here that Elon Musk gets a lot of money from investors because he's confident. And I was just wrote, no, it's money. He's rich as shit, dude. When you're rich, people will do things for you. Big surprise. Has nothing to do with his confidence. You could be the least confident person ever, and if you're a billionaire, people are still gonna do shit for you. I guarantee it. Then Jessica goes on to quote a verse from Isaiah from the Bible. I don't care what the verse is. There's a lot of Bible in this book. Oh, and then I highlighted this paragraph when it talks about Jessica leaving, like, her salon to join MONAT. So it says, of course, not everyone is on board right away with network marketing. Some question the idea of changing their ways or following her into an unknown. It is only natural that one would find both support and resistance at the same time, and it is nothing to feel guilty about. For her husband was among the first ones who did not find himself comfortable with the idea of jumping into the network marketing industry, and you can't blame him either. Jessica knew that not everyone would understand and see the vision right away. There will always be naysayers who will either tell you you are wrong or continue to point out flaws in whatever it is that you're doing. Instead of paying attention to the naysayers, work on your leadership, your actions, and your income-producing activities toward your objectives, because that is time better spent. That was very defensive, Jessica. So we know that Jessica's husband didn't want her to join MONAT because he was a hater, and you need to ignore the haters. You need to cut the haters out of your life. Now, what changed Jessica's husband's mind about MONAT? We never find out. This book has no tangible advice about what changed Jessica's husband's mind about her joining MONAT. Instead, it's just like, don't listen to the haters. Just do it anyway. How's your marriage? I was shocked pleasantly on page 22 that the grammar was correct in this sentence, because this is a common usage error that people make, and somehow Jessica, Tony, whoever wrote this, didn't make this. It says, it doesn't matter if the team comprises a single person or 100. Thank you for using the verb comprise correctly. I have to tell this to people all the time when I edit shit. The word comprise functions like the word contain. People think the word comprise functions like the word compose. It doesn't. It functions more like contain. And it doesn't mean the same thing as compose or contain, but people think that it functions more like compose when it functions like contain. So, for example, a lot of people would say, this is comprised of this. That's not right. You don't say this is comprised of this. You could say this is composed of this. This is made up of this. But comprise functions like contains. You would say this comprises these things the same way you would say this contains these things. Jessica used comprise correctly here, which most people don't. And I was like, how did you do that after having written the sentence, let the overthink and perfection go and just take that step forward? It is that effing simple. How did you write a sentence that shitty and then get it right? Like, this book is wild, dude. This is a roller coaster. Then it's talking about Jessica's husband, Nick. Nick, her husband, had an aunt who was living several states away. She was going through a rough patch. She was running a home daycare, and although she loved the kids she watched, she would always be worn out and a slave to the demand of her work. On top of that, she had family of her own to look after. During this time, Jessica spoke to her about switching businesses and taking a leap, to which she responded with every single excuse in the book. She would say, how can you expect me to run a business that revolves around something I have no idea about? It didn't take long before Jessica was able to convince her to stop worrying so much and start taking the action. Soon afterwards, she was able to close her daycare business. She has been doing the business full time and her life has changed completely. So this is a paragraph about how Jessica pressured her husband's aunt to join MONAT, and this woman didn't want to join and used every excuse in the book. What about this line? How can you expect me to run a business that revolves around something I have no idea about? So it sounds like this woman was saying, I don't know shit about hair care or shampoo. And Jessica, who was a salon owner, you would think would be like, yeah, maybe then you shouldn't be in this business. But instead, because MONAT has no integrity, she was able to convince her to stop worrying. How? What did she say? This book says nothing. It has no actual leadership advice because it's just like, you just need to take action. Just take action like Jessica did. We're not going to tell you what the action was, but you should just take it. You should take the action. Okay, and then chapter 2. Okay, this is where I got confused because chapter 2 starts off with saying that it's by Jessica once again. It says it right here. So this whole time I've been under the impression that Jessica's been writing about herself in third person, just really building up her own ego. But that seems to not be the case when we move on over here. So it starts off at the beginning of chapter 2, which is by Jessica. It says, if you are someone who knows the kind of person Jessica is, you would know that she always emphasizes how leadership is a choice, and I cannot see any reason why shouldn't do so. It says I, and also Jessica in this sentence, and then it says, I have met more people in my life than I can count, and a vast majority of them were simply unaware of how leadership is a choice. Although I could find ways to show them they were wrong, nothing can compare to the confidence that Jessica has. And I was like, who is writing this? Is this from Jessica's perspective or not? Because it says it's by Jessica right here. I'm like, who's I then? I would think I would be Jessica because this is a true story. But then Jessica's in third person, and this narrator seems to be a separate person who's like, yeah, I know Jessica. So then after a while, and after reading the full book, I have concluded that I'm pretty sure Toni wrote the whole book. I think maybe she interviewed each of these people about their life experiences and then wrote about them, but wrote that it was by them. And I'm like, why did you give them a byline? Why didn't you just say this chapter is about Jessica? Why did you say it was by her? That's implying that she wrote it. So now I'm super confused. So I think we can safely assume for the rest of the book that Toni wrote the whole book herself. Now, I just want to read that first sentence again just for fun. If you are someone who knows the kind of person Jessica is, you would know that she would always emphasize how leadership is a choice, and I cannot see any reason why shouldn't do so. I can't see any reason why shouldn't either, Toni. Then she talks for a little bit about how when you're gonna get faced with joining an MLM, you shouldn't think about it, you should just do it. Like, she literally says, don't use your brain, don't think. So it says, our hearts only know what they like and what they don't, and everything in the middle is where our brain kicks in. If you were to bypass your brain for a moment there and let your heart do the talking, decisions would become a lot easier to make. It's kind of like the Mel Robbins 5-second rule shit, where it's like, you have a decision to make, count down from 5 and do whatever comes to mind first, go ahead, which is bad advice for people like me who have some impulse control issues, because let me tell you, I've been infected with some of the millennial serial entrepreneur syndrome. I would have an entire like bar and fashion line and other things right now if I went ahead and made that decision every time I had to make that decision, right? I would also probably be in like hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt because I don't know shit about how to run any of those type of businesses. But I have bad impulse control. That's why I have to taking a step back and thinking it through with my head, which is the opposite of the advice this book gives, because they don't want you to think about it. They want you to think, are you passionate about working from home and being with your kids and being a boss babe? Of course you are. Have some passion. Your heart's in it. And then, of course, they siphon all your money out of you because that's what MLMs do. And then, of course, it just doubles down on the fact that Jessica doesn't think with her brain ever, where it says, she takes the risk first following her heart and is determined to help those who find themselves stuck without ever worrying about the possibility of things going south. While her risk-taking ability is commendable, it is her sheer faith that goes on to pretty much guarantee her success. So it's basically like Jessica works based on faith and on impulse. Rational thought? She doesn't give a shit about it. Then, of course, there's some more Bible verses. This is where I realized that Toni was writing the whole book, where she says, I've been a mentor to Jess for 5 years. And I was like, oh. So Jessica, at first I was like, is Jessica still writing this? And it's just kind of bouncing back and forth between first and third person because she can't write. And then I was like, oh, no, Toni's actually writing this chapter because Jessica wouldn't be a mentor to herself. So lost in this, you guys. Then it says the heart is essentially the subconsciousness speaking, and for to Jessica, God speaking. It is proven that the subconscious mind can be considerably more powerful because it knows what you are truly capable of. While the conscious mind dwindles on the pros and cons of a situation, challenge, or opportunity, it's the heart that says yes or no without the extra work of going into details. It's the biggest motivator for anyone, and for Jessica, it is her heart that pushes her to not only change her life and people she loves when she enters network marketing, but also many that she doesn't even know. It's like really just doubling down on the please stop thinking. Stop trying to run pros and cons. Don't think about the pros and cons of it. That's pros and cons. We even have them in quotation marks. They don't matter. Also, it's proven that the subconscious mind can be considerably more powerful. It's proven where? No sources. You didn't cite a single fucking source, Tony. The heart is essentially the subconsciousness speaking, and for to Jessica, God speaking. I don't even know how to read these sentences. She just like triples down on this don't use your brain section where there's a whole section called heart over mind. The majority of people prioritize their thoughts and what they mean. They believe their mind is the most powerful organ. Okay, the mind is not an organ. I think you're talking about the brain. The mind is not an organ, but okay. That allows them to make smart decisions, safe decisions, and better decisions. Jessica disagrees. By following what her heart has told her and paying attention to her heart's desires, she was able to establish an even bigger gratitude movement through her business. Then we don't know what the gratitude movement is about. Next, we're going to talk about Kathy. So that's Jessica's section. We're going to move into Kathy's section. Kathy's section, I just want to warn you guys that Kathy's section's a little ableist. And by that I mean a lot ableist. Kathy's section is the most ableist thing I've ever read. It's just so ridiculous the way everything is phrased in this. So the things that I'm going to quote Kathy saying are incredibly ableist, but they're just so ridiculous that like, I don't know what you can do other than be like, what? Okay, you'll just have to see what I mean, okay? I just think I need to read this story to you guys. I don't know what I can do other than read this story, so just listen up. I'll pause for commentary, but I need to give full context to this because this is one of the weirdest things I've ever read in my life, and it's also ableist. At the age of 58, Kathy decided to step up and volunteer at the county fairgrounds. What followed was the opportunity to meet a lot of like-minded people, volunteers, and the opportunity to work on the tasks assigned to her. This is where opportunity came knocking. Volunteering became an outlet for Kathy to help because that's what she loved and still does today. Before she knew it, she was sitting at the center stage in Houston, Texas of her company's convention. She distinctively remembers the writing across the main screen that read, "If all prayers were answered, would it change the world or just yours?" I'm assuming this is a MONAT convention that she was at. So she started volunteering, she went to a MONAT convention. I can't follow this story to save my life. That right there was the bam in your face moment that Kathy had been waiting for all this time. That right there was the answer to all the questions that stormed her mind. She then went on to listen to the director of gratitude for the company. Okay, is this MONAT, or is this a different company, or is this a company she was working for at the time? And what kind of company has a director of gratitude? What does that job even entail? I don't know. There's no world building in this. I say world building as if this is a fantasy. I mean, making money in an MLM kind of is a fantasy, but like they don't do anything to give any context. What I'm looking for is context. I said world building as if real life has world building. We have context. Sorry. The director of gratitude. She then went on to listen to the director of gratitude for the company, who asked everyone to go back to their own community and figure out how to help. This became a gratitude movement for Kathy. It was further explained, it's your time to bring something back to your community. Who explained it? That quote came out of nowhere, and that was, what is that sentence mashing right there? There was no second guessing what had just happened or what was being asked of her. She knew in her mind, that's exactly what I want to do. But what? What is this? There was no second guessing what had just happened or what was being asked of her. She knew in her mind, that's exactly what I want to do. But what? It literally says, but what? And I'm like, wait, what's exactly what she wants to do? And then it says, but what? Sometimes these revelations can take ages, but it's because of her constant and consistent efforts that she's poured in over the years, and God led her right into her current business. Yes, she has no idea what she was doing there, but the big reveal struck a chord with her, resonated with her on a level she did not know, and everything started to make sense. She wasn't there to sell products. She was there because the heavens wanted her to finish her dream. Okay, so she was at the MONAT convention. I'm assuming it's the MONAT convention. She's doing MONAT because God told her to do MONAT because it's to finish her dream. She wasn't there to sell products. I mean, that's the first true thing you've said. No one's there to sell products. If they're actually making money, they're there to recruit and scam people. What are these I'm so confused though. Yes, she had no idea what she was doing there, but the big reveal instantly struck a chord with her. The big reveal of what? The gratitude? That she wanted to work in gratitude? What was the big reveal? She had no idea what she was doing where? Are we still talking about at the convention? All that aside, that was just background context for what I'm about to read now. When she got home, it was February of 2017. She did a search. Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on. I have to prepare myself to read this, because not only is like when she got home, it was February 2017. Like, girl, how long was she gone that you need to like tell me the month and year that it was when she came back? But okay, I need to hold it together because this is awful. But like, I just don't know how else to react to this. When she got home, it was February of 2017. She did a search and found an ad about some autistic equipment that would help those suffering with autism. Kathy, what is autistic equipment? Second of all, I mean, there's a very obvious ableism here to calling out, like, those suffering with autism. This book came out in 2021. It's been known for years now in the general public consciousness that autism is not a mental illness. It is a neurotype, meaning that, like, it's a neurodivergence. And, you know, some mental illnesses are also neurodivergences, but not all neurodivergences are mental illnesses, like squares and rectangles, you know what I'm saying? So autism is not a mental illness. It is a different way of your brain processing the world, is a different way of taking in sensory information. It is not an illness that is treated, right? So and some people don't know that, I guess, but before you publish a book, you should probably check on that. But let's go through this whole thing. When she got home, it was February 2017. She did a search and found an ad about some autistic equipment. Autistic equipment, what? Okay. She was involved with the YMCA and her boss wanted her to come up with a plan to help the autistic community. While they didn't use her plans, it gave her the confidence and the knowledge that things might work, and sorry, I gotta read this again. While they didn't use her plans, it gave her the confidence and the knowledge that things might work, and she to communicate the director of gratitude, if accepted, would help a significant number of families. And she to communicate the director. What? This was to specifically help people suffering from autism. I'm sorry, she was doing what? What was even her plan to help? She found equipment that did what? And her plan was to do what? Give someone the equipment? Was she gonna pay for it? Like, what is even going on here? So Kathy has decided to be the neurotypical savior. Prior to this, Kathy had no idea what autism meant. I still don't think she does. Prior to this, Kathy had no idea what autism meant, and she didn't shy away from admitting that. She had to rely on an internet search to provide her with the information. During her research, she was speaking to a local librarian about it, and that woman offered to help. Kathy received further information about possible contacts that could help with the project, as most of them had children on the spectrum, and these people attended various different autism trainings, which meant they were knowledgeable. Kathy connected with these people. I'm so sorry. I'm going to hell for laughing at this line, but like, you guys, who writes like this? Kathy connected with these people, started an autism squad. An autism squad, Kathy? Okay, so Kathy went to various autism trainings and started an autism squad with her autism equipment. Kathy, has anyone who actually has autism been involved in this whole process? Because she talks about people having children who are on the autism spectrum, but like, did you meet with like any actually autistic people, or did you started an autism squad? Is this like the Autism Justice League? What are you talking about, Kathy? A squad for what? Oh my god, this is horrible. Like, the ableism is off the fucking charts, but the writing is just so insane that I don't know what to make of this. Then we get some standard toxic positivity. The following year, the world came to a halt and things took an unprecedented turn. She had caught an illness in September, and that's where she found yet another door opening for her from God. So I don't know if this is about the MLM or what. I cannot make heads or tails of this chapter. It is so confusing. Then we talk more about autism, where it says, special needs teachers require so much assistance, equipment, and tools to get the job done. Autism chose her because of the absence of support within her community. Autism chose Kathy. What? Okay, the next section's about Amy, who runs a photography business and homeschools her children. And it's a section about family. It's like Star Wars. It's about family. So this got me really worried for Amy in this section. Like, Amy's husband, I'm a little scared of him. It's talking about how Amy decided to have her children go back to school. She came across a curriculum fair where homeschoolers could go learn about all that is latest and in demand, to buy all the tools and equipment they need to ensure they provide updated knowledge to their children. For no reason, Amy's husband restricted her from paying a visit to the curriculum fair. This may not come to most as a surprise, but she still ended up at the curriculum fair. I'm sorry, what? So Amy's husband It says Amy's husband restricted her from paying a visit to the curriculum fair. Why did Amy's husband restrict her from it? Why is it's for no reason? Why is Amy's husband in charge of where she is and is not allowed to go? Amy, for real. Like, no, I'm serious. This is actually a real issue. Like, your husband's restricting you from going somewhere. That's a huge red flag for abuse. Like 100%. That's terrifying. Then it said, this may not come to most as a surprise, but she still ended up at the curriculum fair. And it said, whether it was meant to be or it was a sign from God, it happened. So it was a sign from God that she went, even though her husband told her not. So her husband told her not to go and she went. How is that a sign from God? That's just her doing what she wants to do, which like every individual human's allowed to do anyway. So then it talks about how Amy homeschools her kids and stuff. And then it says here, for many, life kind of ends when they're married and have kids. This is especially true with women. Literally says that. I'm like, oh yeah? Do you think maybe the MLM industry profits off of that? I think maybe MONAT and other companies profit off of the fact that many women who have had children are discriminated against for promotions, and maternity leave policies do not have good protections in the US. Like, do you think that maybe the MLM world kind of capitalizes on the fact that women get put at a disadvantage for that? Maybe? Just like, perhaps. I don't know. Then Amy's next chapter is all about faith and God. It is a little known fact that faith and leadership go hand in hand with each other. Since everyone is born with a mission that is assigned by God, everyone has a role to play in this life. Checkmate, atheists. For real. Like, I can't prove it better than that. If you aren't certain that God exists because that, like, I don't know what to tell you. Then we've got some, like, slight little MONAT cult dog whistles here. If you can find it within yourself to have faith in the process, to have faith in your abilities, your mission, and purpose, you will eventually go on to discover ways through which you will not only make it to the end, but you will do so in grand style. Trust the process! That's a thing that MLMs say, and it's also a thing that, like, a lot of shitty jobs tell you, right? Like, when you're about to get exploited, it's like, trust the process. Like, I know that you're losing money, I know that your life sucks, I know that everything's awful for you, but trust me, you gotta trust the process, you gotta have faith. This cult shit, don't like it. Then we have more, like, if we didn't double down enough in Jessica's section about how we shouldn't think about things and we should just act immediately and never think, this section again doubles down, I guess not doubles, we're like quintuples down on the fact that you should never think with your brain ever. This section is called Act Now or Forever Be Silent. When these inspirations come Amy's way, she never hesitates and acts almost instantly. She goes on to work on these ideas, figure out how they could be used, and always allows her to move forward positively. Depending on the type of idea she comes up with, she would speak to the relevant person, arrange an event, write it down, and post it to her wall, and then it goes on some things like that, and I'm like, so you can't give a single example, like, here's a time that Amy thought of an idea, and here are the specific steps she took. No, there's no real advice in this book. It just wants to remind us not to think, to just join MONAT. I also made a little checkmate atheist note over here. Let me read this section. What is this? Everything in life is hard, whether it is raising a family, securing a job, starting a business, seeking higher education, all of that needs commitment and faith. People often say that faith just doesn't work, but that is them giving up far too soon. If faith would not have worked, people would have stopped educating their children completely. The only reason they go through years of hard work is to ensure the child can go on to attain a degree and land a decent job. That hope is faith in the process of educating the child, getting them enrolled in a prestigious institute, and one day seeing their child get a job that pays well. Despite clearly exercising faith, quite a few continue to overlook how faith was able to hold them steady throughout the rough times, and it is because of their steadfast nature, consistency, commitment, and dedication that they eventually get to see the results they were hoping for. That is faith coming back to reward them. Checkmate, atheists! Without faith, no one would go to school! Didn't you know that? If you don't believe in God, then why'd you go to school? Everyone who goes to school has faith in God. Checkmate, atheists. What the fuck is this book? This next section is someone named Jennifer. Jennifer is an entrepreneur is what her bio says. And then on the next page, it becomes clear that she is in network marketing. So Jen is in network marketing as well. Did I highlight much? Oh, here we go. Jen has been able to enhance her business experience purely through transparency and honesty. By being her true self, she can set the right expectations, allowing clients and other businesses to work with her more easily. She often warns people not to fake things or show the world how flawless they are because things can and will get messy at times. So we had fake it till you make it from Jessica earlier, and now Jennifer is telling us to never fake it and to have transparency and honesty. What is the actual solution of what we should do in a given situation? I don't know, because the book, honestly, the most specific story the book ever told was about Kathy and the Autism Squad, and I'm still lost as to what that was about. Then we get some more toxic positivity from Jennifer, where she says, Once she started managing her own business, realizing that she needed to stop giving her energy to those without positive results, things started to move forward. She then started to take control of her action off the field with her home and with friends. An extraordinary thing happened. Her business skyrocketed and her relationships improved significantly, and she has never looked back ever since. If you weren't a positive force in Jennifer's life, she cut you out. If you said, leave MONAT, Jennifer, she was like, fuck you. You are not a positive force in my life. I'm going to go deeper into MONAT. I'm not even going to go into the grammatical issues with that sentence. Then the next chapter is from Sarah, who is a hairstylist and entrepreneur. Her favorite thing about the network marketing industry is the opportunity it provides to help other people transform their financial futures. I mean, she's not wrong. It does help you transform your financial future. In most cases, your financial future isn't going to transform in the direction you want it to, though. So this section kind of exploits the fact that Sarah went through addiction and uses it as a way to promote an MLM, which is disgusting. So first of all, I would like to say to Sarah, who's out there, I'm really glad that you were able to overcome your addiction. That is really, really difficult, and I know people who have gone through addiction. I've seen it happen to a lot of people, and I know what a difficult cycle that can be to go through that. I'm really sorry you went through that, and I'm really glad to hear that you were able to get the help that you needed and you were able to overcome that cycle and get your life into a better place, genuinely. So honestly, kudos on that. Great job, Sarah. So it talks about, 8 years ago, Sarah had reached rock bottom. She was caught in a malicious cycle of addictions, and her world was spiraling down virtually out of control. This obviously is a hard place to bounce back from. It's no picnic, Tony. Saying it's no picnic about it's no picnic. Tony, goddammit. However, something within her said enough is enough. That gave her renewed courage, and she decided she was going to do all that was required of her to come out of this void and become sober again. Honestly, good for Sarah. But then it has to, of course, exploit the story for MLM stuff. There was a time when Sarah would easily refuse and say no to pretty much everything, but with the renewed spirit and newly found courage, she found herself saying yes to more things in life. She was no longer the kind of person who would doubt herself or her abilities. Later, she said yes to another opportunity. With a little bit of courage and a bit of investment, she embarked on a life-changing path that she did not know would become something larger than life for her and her family. She became a leader to her team, a leader of a multi-million-dollar organization, and grew exponentially herself. So first of all, it's like a little bit of investment. It took a little courage and a little investment. Don't forget, to join MONAT, you do have to pay for the starter kit. And then it's talking about how she's a leader of a multi-million-dollar organization. It doesn't mean that she's making multiple millions of dollars. This is a way that MLMs like to trick you as well. They'll say, this is a company with multi-million dollars in revenue. We're worth multiple millions of dollars. Good for you. There's also thousands and sometimes hundreds of thousands of reps in the company. So if the company's bringing in that much in revenue, that says absolutely nothing about any of the individual reps making a significant amount of money. So that's just disgusting. And of course, more stuff about ignoring the haters and ignoring your family when they're worried for you joining an MLM. Sarah recalls how worried her family was about her, especially when she decided to close her salon and jump into a more lucrative opportunity. They would talk behind her back, and some of them thought she was crazy. She could feel them waiting for her to fail. She used their doubt as fuel for her passion and commitment. She proved them wrong. Any MLMers watching this right now whose family doesn't believe in your MLM business, no one is waiting for you to fail. No one wants you to fail. They want you to get out of the company so that they can see you succeed, because it is statistically almost impossible to succeed in an MLM. No matter how hard you work, the math just doesn't work. There's a lot of sex worker shaming in the next chapter. I'm just not even going to get into it. Now let's talk about Tony, the author of this book. Tony has been working with startup network marketing companies for over 20 years. So Tony's a Eric Worre type figure. She works for MONAT. She has a lot of, oh, here we go. Tony has written 3 best-selling Amazon books under the series Effing Simple. You know who else is an Amazon bestseller? I've been waiting to use this line, you guys. So people talk about, like, I'm an Amazon bestseller, and that's a fun thing if you want to celebrate that for yourself. But if you want to use that as, like, a selling point for people to buy your courses and your training, that's shady as shit. Because you know who's an Amazon bestseller? Chewy, my dog. Literally, my dog is an Amazon bestseller. He wrote a book called Bro, Stop Licking Your Balls. It's currently available for pre-order, and it's releasing May 31st. It's currently #1 in 45-minute humor short reads. Amazon has incredibly specific categories for every type of book out there, and they're updated hourly. So if 10 people buy your book in the same hour, guess what? In your specific category, you can be an Amazon bestseller. Chewy's been a #1 new release on Amazon for days for Bro, Stop Licking Your Balls, a parody self-help book. Linked in the description below. You can pre-order it for ebook and maybe paperback by now. I'm not sure. Depends. Depends if it's up yet or not when I put up this video. Literally, Tony's like, I'm an Amazon bestseller. Girl, my dog is literally an Amazon bestseller. Tony just regurgitates the typical multi-level marketing narrative in this book. Throughout our lives, we have been led to believe that life is waking up, going to work, putting in the 40 hours a week, coming home, have a beer, watch TV the next few hours before hitting the bed. It's an endless, monotonous cycle that has managed to linger on. Society embraces it. Are you honestly ready to believe this is what life is all about? If so, for what? Pittance? I refuse to believe that, and I reject such a lifestyle every single day of my life. I'm unemployable. I'm serious. I will never let some other fucker get rich off of me. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, I don't like working traditional jobs either, and that's why I started my own business, which can be hard to be profitable in. I get it. MLMs are not the answer. The line, I will never let some other fucker get rich off of me. First of all, I agree. That's why you should support universal basic income, Medicare for all, and worker co-ops. That's not what she's talking about here. She's talking about network marketing, which is literally the definition of letting other people get rich off of you. Literally, your upline gets rich off of you, and generally, if your upline's far enough down the pyramid, they're not getting rich off of you. They're just like recouping a little bit of their losses off of you. You know who's getting rich off of you is the person at the top of the pyramid. And I genuinely believe that Tony doesn't let people get rich off of her because I think that she's the one making money exploiting other people. 100%. For the better part of our lives, we were told to go to college just so we can land ourselves a good job. That is bullshit, yet I keep hearing that every day. College is not cut out for everyone. I completely agree. That's why we should be promoting more people to go into certain trade schools if they know that there are certain skills that they want to do. A lot of times trade school could be a great way to develop a specific skill that might be a future you want to go into without taking on the debt of a traditional university. And for other people, traditional universities are the right path. For some people, 2-year colleges are the right path. Getting an associate's degree might be the right path. Going into a job for a little while and saving up for maybe going to community college. There are many options out there. And going to a typical 4-year university is not going to be the solution for everyone. MLMs are the solution for no one. However, what about those of us who want to be entrepreneurs? What about those of us that don't dream of debt? Where do entrepreneurs find the education that will serve them in the long run? Surely mainstream education isn't teaching any of that. They're not even teaching the basics to never spend more than what you make. And that leaves these aspiring candidates and entrepreneurs with only one choice, seeking out a mentor. And of course, Tony's going to fill that role. How ironic is it for an MLM company trainer to say, don't spend more than you make? Literally, MONAT and every other MLM company encourages you to be on auto ship, pay monthly fees, pay for starter kits. You're paying out the ass. Almost everyone reports losing money in an MLM. You're spending more than you make constantly, Tony. Then she has the weirdest section where she simps for Dave Portnoy. Throughout this phase in my life, there's been one person that has moved me and inspired me to do so much, Dave Portnoy. On the off chance that he reads this, I would love to tell him that he is my hero and I would love to meet him one day. It is because of him that I discovered another big why. I want to be that person, just like Kid Rock and Sean Whalen, and donate selflessly to Portnoy's nonprofit. Here's $100K to help you get your matter sorted. That's my ultimate goal. That's my why that keeps me going forward. Dave Portnoy is a fearless leader. He knows his whys better than any of us can imagine, and he knows what he is supposed to do. Unlike the majority of us who would often give things a second thought, he believes in what he does and goes for it. End of story. That's the kind of person I am and will continue to be. Y'all, I did a deep dive on Dave Portnoy at the end of 2021 when I did my 12 Daves of Christmas. I'll link it up in the cards. Dave Portnoy has a lot of sexual harassment accusations against him, and has a lot of accusations of running a hostile environment for female employees. Dave Portnoy also is like incredibly anti-union to the point where he made fake, like I covered this in my deep dive what he did. He made fake Twitter accounts pretending to be a union for his own company. He runs Barstool Sports. Sorry, I should have given context. Dave Portnoy is the founder of Barstool Sports. He made fake Twitter accounts pretending to be the account that was the union for Barstool Sports to see who would follow him and join in his fake union effort, so he knew who was planning on unionizing and could like put a stop to it. Like, he's sus. Dave Portnoy is sus as hell, dude. If you like Dave Portnoy as your idol, that says a lot. The first thing I notice is the reason that people are trying to get out of whatever they may be currently doing. It's essential because of the money factor. Barely understood that sentence, but I think what she was trying to say was that a lot of people can't get out of a job they hate because they need the money, which is true. Yes, they go on to join network marketing or something else because they present themselves as money-making machines, but only a rare few make the kind of money they're hoping for. Correct! First accurate thing you've said, Tony! But then, of course, she ruins it. The problem lies within our society and what 95% of us are taught from childhood. We have all been raised with mediocrity and the scarcity mindset of never having enough. This is not about mindset. It's literally about math. There aren't enough humans in the world. Tony! I think Tony knows this too. I think she's a scammer. There are not enough human beings in the world that if you don't start the pyramid at the very top and you're recruiting people under you, all the customer base has already been saturated. All the people who want that product will have already been gotten by those people, unless you want to have to compete against your own recruits. You want to recruit your own competition. Do you understand supply and demand, Tony? Oh my God. Watch the Ponzinomics review, y'all. Okay, page 146 is the funniest shit. Tony gets like really into the I pulled myself up by my bootstraps, bitches. You need to do it too. You lazy millennials and zoomers don't want to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And that is by the way, I didn't do this myself. Literally it's so hilarious. Watch this. Whether you become a neurosurgeon, a day trader, or even something bigger, if you are not able to afford it, don't do it. Your parents or your children are not liable for your actions or your future career path. You are. Do not hurl the burden on their shoulders because they have already been through some challenges in life just so you can get a decent education. I know many young adults will be reading this, and to them I say, I had to make my way. Yes, my dad paid for my education. I'm sorry, let me read that again. To them I say, I had to make my own way. Yes, my dad paid for my education. How do you write those two sentences next to each other and not see it? How do you not see it, Tony? Oh my God, I'm done with this fucking book. This was effing Simple Leadership by Tony, whatever her last name is, who is high up in the MONAT pyramid, and everyone in this book, or almost everyone in this book, is a MONAT representative, and they talk all about why MONAT is a great company. It's not. It's an MLM. Network marketing sucks. Don't join it, or else you will probably go into debt and have a terrible time. I hope you guys enjoyed this book review. Keep sending me more multi-level marketing training guides to review, because oh my God, are they funny. I will see you guys again on Monday. In the meantime, pre-order Bro Stop Licking Your Balls by Chewy so he can become an even bigger Amazon bestseller. Let's get him to #1 on the whole site of Amazon. I'll see you guys again soon. Have a good day. Love y'all. Bye.
Get you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should take up lesbianism.
Chicago. You guys asked for it.